He lived 26 years, not 26 minutes. 26 seconds. Hi, my name is Terry Killoran. I am the mother of 3 children that are now adults. One lives in heaven. His name is Alex Philip Killoran. The first time that we realized Alex had a problem, I want to say that I actually was in denial. This is hard for me. So I always felt, being the middle child, that I had to give him a little bit more attention because of the middle child syndrome thing that they went on and on about. So I did. And because of that, I think I let some things slide. And I'm in no way blaming myself or my husband or anybody else for his death and his passing. It was an accident, but it was still his choice to use that night. He came home. I was up. He came home and said, "Mom, I love you. Wake me up. You have school tomorrow." And he was going to college. And I said, "Okay, I love you." And he goes, "I love you too, Mom." And those are precious moments to me. Those are what I call blessings in disguise. And he went to bed, and I went to go wake him up, opened up the door, and he was laying on the floor. But he was in kind of like a curled up position, which he generally would be sometimes when I would knock on the door and come in, because he had lower back problems and he would stretch his back. And so he would hunch into a ball on the floor and stretch. And I thought he was doing that, but he wasn't. He had passed. At first I was in shock, and I just rubbed his back and I said everything was going to be okay, because I knew he was gone. In my mind, I knew he was gone. And in my heart, it hadn't hit yet. So I walked down the hallway and I went to go tell Audra. And to me, she's a nurse. So I thought, I'll tell her, and maybe there's something she could do that I'm wrong. And I kind of backed up against the wall and just sat there for a second. I thought, oh my God, I am the mother of a child who's dead. My son is dead. And then my daughter came rushing into the room, pushed me away, put her back up to the wall, and pushed her legs into him to roll him over, thinking that she could give him CPR or something, because Mitch had by then gone upstairs to wake her up. And she saw his face. And when she saw his face, she knew he was gone, because of the way he was laying down. His face was a dark red, almost purplish. His eyes were open, and you could tell immediately he was passed. And my daughter just screamed the most gut-wrenching scream you could hear from a young girl. She was 23 at the time. And my son was 26. My daughter ran out of the room, and I just looked at Alex and started cleaning his face, because he had vomit on his face. And that's when I knew that he had overdosed, because I remember the signs of reading things and stories of other people, and was then asked to leave the room. And I looked at this person, and I realized they were paramedics. And they said, "Ma'am, you have to leave the room. We need to examine the body." And I just looked at them and I said, "This is my son. His name is Alex." And the gentleman said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. Would you please leave the room? We'd like to examine Alex." They were so kind and patient. And I left the room. I came upstairs, and my daughter was not crying. She was in the kitchen, and she was on the phone. And I said, "Who did you call?" And she goes, "Daddy," to let him know to come straight home. Later, I found the words that she exactly had said, and it was appalling to me. But out of her mouth, they were shock. And she had said, "Daddy, you need to come home. Alex is dead." I'm not angry at her. Don't ever think that I'm not angry. I was more scared for my husband, who was driving from the gas station, that he would make it home, because those words are so impactful. Mark walked in, had to show his identification to the police officer at the door, and just looked at me, and I said, our baby boy is gone. He's dead." We failed him. The coroners came upstairs and they had said, we need to remove his body because of his position. We cannot put him on a stretcher. Do you understand this? And I said, yes. And I said, you can't move him yet until his father says goodbye to him. And the coroner says, no, I'm sorry, Mom, that's impossible. And I said, this is my home. It's my son, and his father is going to say goodbye. And the coroner looked at the police officer who was still here, and he nodded his head. And the coroner goes, okay, ma'am. And I took my husband's hand, and I walked downstairs with him. And as we're walking to the bedroom, I said, do not remember your son this way. He died this way. But don't remember him this way. And my husband just bent down and kissed him on the forehead. And he said, my son, what have you done? And started crying. You're not supposed to have favorites. It's your kids. I can honestly say that Alex was his favorite. But he was the most like his father, and in looks and mannerisms and stuff like that. He had no work ethic, which really bothered my husband because my husband was the opposite. Very strong-willed man who knew you needed an education or you weren't going anywhere in this world. And especially the way the world was at that time. And he was a computer nut. He was a computer geek, freak. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but he could take a computer from scratch and build a computer to his liking. He bought a Dell computer one day and took the whole tower apart and built it to his liking with 2 hard drives. And I remember being on the computer one time and he turned my screen upside down and he had put across it, Alex loves Mom, Mom loves Alex, Alex loves Mom, Mom loves Alex. And I said, Alex, what are you doing? And he's gone, I'm showing you what I can do from my computer. That I could see him being an archaeologist. He loved to discover things. And you get to travel. And that was something that he'd always wanted to do. For my birthday, he would be the last one to give me a gift. He wanted to be the last one, always. Or he wanted to be the first. Sometimes I'd wake up on the morning of my birthday and there would be a card and a gift. And it was from him. And sometimes he didn't even sign his cards. Then I knew it was from him, though. Calling Adam in Arizona to tell him his brother passed away was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. He was at a friend's house. Right away he said, Mom, what's the matter? Why are you calling me this early in the morning? Angry. And I said, where are you? I'm at my friend so-and-so's house. I said, I need to talk to him. He goes, Jesus Christ, Mom. Fine. And his friend was up, so he gave him the phone. Don't remember his friend's name, but God bless his heart. I said, I need you to stand by my son. Because I'm going to give him the most devastating news he's ever heard over the phone. And I don't want him to be alone. And I don't want him to be by himself. And I want him to have some support. Do you understand me? Just say yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He said that. So he gave the phone back to Adam. I said, Adam, I'm very sorry to tell you, your brother's gone. And he came back and he said, Mom, what do you mean he's gone? He didn't come home last night? You can't find him? What do you mean gone? I said, Adam, Alex died in the middle of the night. I found him this morning. And the phone fell from his hand. I heard it drop. Give me a second. His friend got on the phone and was angry. What did you say to him? What did you say? He's crying. He's crying. He's on the floor crying. He's withering in pain. I told his friend. I'm sorry to say, his brother died last night in his sleep. We had his funeral. I spoke at his funeral. I did not wear black. I wore fuchsia, which was his favorite color. He told me one day, "You look so good in that dress, Mom. That's a very pretty color." And I remembered it. And I told my daughter that morning, "I'm not wearing black." She goes, "You wear whatever you want, Mom." I did. The first year, hard. Second year, harder. Because it sinks in. He's really not going to be here for Christmas. He's really not going to be here for his birthday. He's not going to be here for his sister's wedding. He's not going to be here for all these special, momentous things. So yeah, the second year was the hardest because it sunk in. And then I turned it around. I started to celebrate his life. Minutes, moments. All I kept thinking was, I'm going to celebrate his life and not mourn him in death. And it helped me tremendously because I felt 26 years. It's not a long time, but it's enough for me that it held on to those 26 years. And I just pushed it into my head and into my heart, and it's there now. I got 26 years to be Alex's mom. God chose me to be Alex's mom. One person said that, "Are you over it? Are you getting better?" You don't get better. You don't get over it. You never get over it. The word I use is tolerable. It becomes tolerable. It doesn't invade my every waking moment. It's not the first thing on my mind when I wake up anymore. But he's never far from me, ever. God bless you. I'm sorry if you are in the same boat as me, but you won't sink. Hold on. Don't let yourself sink. Find something that makes you want to hold on. And I'm going to say something to the parents of only children, only childs. You still were blessed for how many years you had with your child, as selfish as that may sound. You still need to live. Turn it around. What would you expect of your child if you died? Would you want them to give up? No. I love my son Alex. Every night in my prayers, I say goodnight to my son Alex. I say his name every day. He was here. He was alive for 26 years. I'm going to say his name, even if nobody else does. That's my piece of life. God and I have a special relationship. When I say my prayers at night, I said, "Dear God, hold him close to you. I know where he is." That's my peace of mind.